Yes.
Hello, it's Lysha Holmes here of Key Recruitment, and I'm delighted to welcome here, hopefully a familiar face to many, it's Jo Gregory. Hi, Jo.
Hi. Hi.
How
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, are you?
I'm good, thank you very much indeed. For those who don't know you, which is very unlikely, but for those that don't, could you explain a little bit about what you do, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Jo Gregory. I'm a recruitment trainer and a skills coach. And so I own a company called Recruitment Training Group, and I've had that business for 12 years now, but 20 years in total in recruitment. And I shake my head when I think, guys, 20 years, that's quite a long time, isn't it? So yeah, that's me.
Great. Well, I've invited you on here today because we've been chatting on social media, and I think it's very sort of unprecedented times for a lot of recruiters, particularly for those who maybe haven't worked through the recession in the last 10 years. And given what's happening, I was hoping you could give some tips as to how recruiters can ensure they've got emotional resilience to cope with what is an ever-changing recruitment landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you a case study in emotional resilience. So here's my daughter who's now decided likes to make, this is Lois. Say hello, Lois.
Hello.
Yeah, she likes to make a guest appearance in every video that I do. So as soon as she can hear record clicking in, and as soon as it clicks in record, that's it. She's part of it. So you know, that's the first part of emotional resilience, is just be prepared for the unexpected, and nothing is normal. So last week I spent a whole week running webinars and talking to clients about emotional intelligence and well-being. And I think there's a number of things that you can do to try and build your resilience. And the first thing that we need to do is to realize that this isn't normal. I mean, you said it earlier on, you know, are you going now? Was that you doing your, just giving us a star performance? Okay, go on, thanks. Yeah, so I spent a whole week last week talking about emotional resilience and actually building resilience. And one of the things that I think everybody needs to be aware of, or acutely aware of, is the fact that it's not normal. What we're going through now isn't normal. So to try and do what we used to do probably isn't going to work. So what's got us here isn't going to get us further. So first thing is just identifying that it's just not normal. I'm a huge fan of the Kubler-Ross change curve, and I've posted it a few times on LinkedIn. It's definitely worth having a look at. I think if people can feel as if they're a part of a process at the moment of change, so we're going to have to go through shock, we're going to have to go through denial, then you go through anger and frustration, then you go into depression, and at that point you're at the absolute lowest ebb that you can. And a lot of us stay there for a long time. What we need to then do is to start trialing new ways of working and experimenting and testing with new techniques and new ways of just forming a new version of normal. And once you go into that, you start trialing, you start experimenting, you then accept that we have a new normal, and then you can move on into full integration. But part of the change process is letting go of the past. And what I find, I'm doing this week because it's 4 weeks in to work. I work from home anyway, but for anyone who's used to go into an office, recruiters are pretty external processes. They like to, you know, have lots of people around them, lots of visuals. So to go from that to working from home can be a huge change. Part of what I find I do, and a lot of people I've spoken to have been doing, is sort of grieving their past state and romanticizing, oh, it was so great. And I think that's great because it helps us to be grateful for a lot of things, but it's not necessarily a healthy place to stay. You know, by all means, grieve the loss of your previous state and your previous situation, but then start to move on and start trying to create a new normal. So I think there's a number of things you can do to help to build that. I think the first thing you need to do is to just be, self-care is enormous, you know, self-maintenance, self-care, and just check-ins on yourself regularly. So check in on yourself. There's something called HALT, which is hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And those 4 things are red flags for if you're starting to feel slightly less resilient, or maybe you're in need of a bit of self-care. So I think just keep a journal. I know a lot of people who keep journals. Journals are a great way. Recruiters, we're quite extreme. It's either nothing works or everything's a mess. We talk in extremes quite a lot. Whereas actually, if you keep a journal, you'll find that there's certain days of the week or certain times of the day when you're maybe a little more down than you are up. So it's about finding your routines and finding your patterns, and then just being able to work with them, because, you know, we can't be up all the time. I think if we do, then the more we can take care of our emotional well-being the more we build an infrastructure of resilience, so that when we do need it, you know, when the proverbial does hit the fan, you've actually got an infrastructure, you've got a series of tools there that you can start using. So some top tips would be, I mean, never underestimate the power of good sleep hygiene. You know, trying to get 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night is absolutely key. Switching off from social media or anything with the any sort of electronic devices. Making sure that you stay hydrated, so drinking lots of water, taking lots of vitamins, and eating really healthily. So I call it GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. You know, if you're putting garbage into your body physically and mentally as well, so if you're feeding on social media, scrolling through everybody's wonderful lives, that's not going to make you feel any better either. So I think, you know, unplug from things that make you feel that are unhealthy or unhelpful. Sometimes that could be people. If there are certain people who aren't healthy for you in your life right now, then it might be just to mute them for a period of time. Mute your social media, don't go on it all the time. Just check in maybe 3 times a day. I did some work the other day and I had BBC News on in the background. And whilst I was working, I started to get this sort of, this feeling of anxiety. And it was almost like I was absorbing it by a process of osmosis through the television. And actually that was my emotional brain. I'm a huge chimp nerd. I'm a massive fan of Steve Peters, chimp management, you know that. My chimp was watching the news, so my human brain, my logical brain is tapping away doing work, and my emotional brain was going into catastrophic thinking. So have lots of you know, practical ways of maintaining self-care. Resilience can also be built, I think, by exercising your chimp. So exercise your emotions, have people and places that you go to, and make sure that you've got psychological safety nets in place as well. So psychological safety nets are places, people, or property. So things that you surround yourself with to make yourself feel safe and normal. So imagine if someone came and took all the fences away from around your house, you'd feel quite unsafe, because we like parameters. So put parameters in place in your life. Have a routine. Have parameters at work. Don't, you know, stay in your pajamas all day. I'm not sure. I think that's great in the honeymoon period, but after a while, I think psychologically, you know, you need to start putting some parameters in place. And have a routine. Stick to a routine and try and keep yourself busy. Try and put a day plan in place as much as you can. Try and make sure that it's a list of things that you know you can achieve. Otherwise, again, that could be counterproductive. But try and have a plan. If you've got a sense of purpose, you tend to be a bit more motivated and driven anyway. But don't expect everything to be perfect every day, I think, as well. Embrace the change, embrace the Kubler-Ross change curve, you know, trust in the process, make a plan, and just try and keep yourself as healthy as you possibly can. Yeah, that would be my advice.
That's been absolutely brilliant, really useful. And if anybody wants to sort of find out more from you, we'll make sure your profile's prolific on social media, but we'll make sure we share that as well. Thank you so much, Jo. That's been brilliant. You look after yourself and stay well.